This is Greg Pass with the Americans in Wartime Museum. Today's date is February 25th, 2022, and I am in Arlington, Virginia, and I have the pleasure to sit down with Specialist Kyle Williams. Kyle, thanks for spending some time with us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So tell us about, give us your full name and tell us where you were born.
Okay, my name is Kyle Austin Williams. I'm originally from upstate New York in a small town called Owego, just west of Binghamton, New York. Yeah.
Why did you enter the military service?
So I originally, after high school, I went to college for a few years. The entire time I was thinking about leaving college to join the Army. I had a grandfather who served in World War II in the Navy, and eventually I just decided to go ahead and do it. So I enlisted in the spring of 2019, and I've been with it ever since.
What was your original MOS and what were you trained in?
11 Bravo, so infantry.
Okay.
Still am.
And where was that at?
Down in Fort Benning in Georgia.
Gotcha. And I'm sorry, what year?
2019.
2019.
Yep.
So, how did you end up here? What was the path that brought you here to Arlington?
So it was immediately after basic training, after we graduated. Some of us were without orders and we had to be held over, so basically stay behind a couple weeks in order for them to draw up orders and figure out where exactly we were going to be assigned. And they just happened to, based on height, build, that kind of thing, sent a few of us up to Fort Myer here in Arlington, Virginia. And a couple days after getting to Fort Myer, I was sitting in S1, which is where a lot of us do our paperwork, when the former Sergeant of the Guard, Sergeant First Class Carney, the former Commander of the Guard, Captain Earls, and the former Assistant Sergeant of the Guard, Staff Sergeant Hudson, came down and were asking around to the newer guys that got to base whether they wanted to know and learn a little bit about the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. A few of us raised our hands, and that was that.
Had you been here before?
I had not. No. I've never been to Arlington National Cemetery before coming here from basic.
Mm-hmm. So was that an exciting time for you? Were you geeked up to be a part of this?
Yeah, it was exciting, a little bit scary, hearing them talk about, how tomb guards conduct themselves, all the training and all that. So a little bit much for a brand new private straight out of basic training to process and really understand. But once I got down here, things started to make more sense and click.
So tell us about the process it takes. You don't just show up one day and you're out front guarding the tomb. Tell us about the training and the process it takes to get the honor to maintain a post out there.
So there's a training process that varies for each individual coming down here. Sometimes it's a couple weeks long, sometimes there aren't enough individuals, so they just immediately put them onto a squad here and start training that way. I was fortunate enough to come in with 4 other individuals, and we had a month-long called TDY process, so like a training environment for us to get assessed and see if we would be the material that they were looking for, and we would cut it to make it as tomb guards here at the tomb. That was conducted with, as I mentioned before, Assistant Sergeant of the Guard, Staff Sergeant Hudson, who is now in Colorado. So all of the people from my TDY class, we all made it through and got down here after a month onto a relief and started our official training basically after that.
And how long did it take till you were actually able to guard the tomb?
So my first ceremonial posting, I believe, was about a month and a half after I first got onto a squad down here. And then a couple weeks after that was my first actual day walk, which would be while the cemetery is open during the daytime, basically.
So you start off in the middle of the night?
Yeah, so you'll start off doing what we call night hours. So after the cemetery is already closed, you go out there and practice everything that makes us a tomb guard. Get that good amount of training, and then you eventually get posted for your first morning bolo, which is a ceremonial guard shift before the cemetery actually opens. So that happens from 7 in the morning to 8, and then the first ceremonial guard of daytime operations gets posted at 8 a.m.
So what's it like the first time you're doing it? You got a little bit of butterflies going on, or what's up?
A little bit. You're obviously incredibly nervous. You don't want to mess up, obviously, for what we represent. It's a very big deal for us personally. The first time, it's scary. It's scary. It's really nerve-wracking.
How is it today? You still get those butterflies when you go out there?
Every once in a while, but eventually you do it to the point where it becomes more like second nature to you. It becomes much easier. At first, crowds, like a good amount of people, will scare you because, again, you want to look your best, look sharp. But eventually, you just get to a point where it's easy for us, especially when you get to the point of being a sentinel, a badge holder. You've done it so much that it, again, second nature.
So, explain what a badge holder is, and if I understand correct, you can still guard it without being a badge holder. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Explain the differences between the two and how you get from one to the other.
So you start out by, again, going through that TDY process. After you pass that selection process initially, you're training, you're doing day walks until your trainer and the sentinels within your relief feel that you're ready and capable enough to take your first test. So we have 4 tests here down the tomb. We have test 1, test 2, full rotation, and badge test. Each one getting progressively not harder, but you have less room for error as you go along. And we have 3 areas in which we're graded in. So we're graded in our knowledge, which we have to know 17 pages of knowledge verbatim. We're graded on our outside performance, how well you perform outside doing the guard sequence. And then we're also graded on our uniform proficiencies. So for test 1, you have 7 minor deficiencies that you're allowed with no major deficiencies in each of the areas.
17 pages?
Yes, 17 pages of knowledge that you have to be able verbatim.
Wow. How long did it take you to memorize that?
So you get it incrementally. Your TDY knowledge, as we call it, is the first 7 pages. Then test 1 is up to page 11, and then the last 6 are when you pass test 1, you start learning the last 6 pages to get ready for test 2. And then full rotation and badge test, our knowledge is graded a little bit differently. So when you're getting ready for our full rotation test, you have to condense that knowledge that you know into a brief format. So you being able to tell a story of this place and Arlington National Cemetery that you could be telling to school groups, military officials, anyone that comes down here. That's how we pass on our oral history to the general public.
And you are a badge holder?
I am, yes.
And about how many badge holders do you guys have?
Roughly, there's a handful of us, a couple on each of our squads. So I'd say anywhere from 6 to 10 individuals.
All right, so in November, you guys had a big ceremony. Tell us a little bit about the preparation that went into that and how it went.
So, yeah, again, last November was the centennial, so the 100th anniversary of the interment of the World War I unknown. Preparation on the part of us as a relief there wasn't so much that we had to personally do. We had to come in, do our job, make sure everything was overseen correctly, and do what we do day in and day out and guard the unknowns. A lot of the actual prep work was done by leadership, was done by Arlington National Cemetery in coordination with 3rd Infantry Regiment and the leadership that we have down here at the tomb. So,
well, what were your observations? Did you
I did.
participate?
Yep.
So
I
what were your
was.
observations with the public? And how was attendance? Tell us some of your memories from that.
Attendance was extraordinary. There were thousands upon thousands of people coming all day throughout the cemetery's daily operations. There was a constant stream of people, and you could see the myriad of emotions on those individuals' faces. Again, as a walker, my primary job is to guard and make sure everything's happening with reverence to this American shrine. So you have to kind of balance your duties in a situation like that, your duties as a guard, as well as just taking in what this means, not only to us as tomb guards, but to the general populace who get to come here and lay these roses. It was extraordinary.
You get a chance to see any VIP groups like World War II vets?
There were
VIPs?
There were a number. It's honestly hard to count. There was veteran groups. There were military officials in uniform coming. There were Gold Star mothers were here while I was working on Centennial.
What was that like, knowing that they were watching it, Gold Star mothers?
It was both sad and sweet to see them there because of who they are and how emotionally invested they were while they were here. A group of them that we specifically saw were just holding each other, crying. It was a lot. It was a lot.
So I understand that the Crow Nation Honor Guard was here. Tell us a little bit about who they are, and did you get a chance to see them?
We did, yes. Yeah, my squad was working that day. So back during the internment of the World War I unknown, Chief Pleniku's tribe, Crow Nation, came and paid their respects and honored the unknown that was being interred. There were many Native Americans who were drafted during World War I, so they felt that it was appropriate for them to come and pay honors because that unknown soldier that was interred in World War I could have very well been one of those Native Americans who were conscripted into our nation's military to serve. And it was quite incredible to see the descendants come and pay their respects. Yeah, it was truly a blessing to see them come.
So, what? Take us inside of your head. What's it like to participate in something this big? You know, part of American culture, part of our American pride. What does it feel like? How old are you?
I'm 20, almost 25.
Right. So, a 25-year-old guy who's in the middle of this awesome operation. What's it feel like?
Incredible. In the moment, it's hard to grasp what all is happening because of how busy of a time that was for us down here. We're running to and fro. We're getting posted. We're trying to do our job as tomb guards, and so it wasn't really until a few days after maybe that it really just started to sink in. Like, wow, I was a part of that. I was there. I was on the plaza while all this was happening. It was an honestly incredible feeling of pride. I was very, very happy to have been able to participate in this, to witness these events firsthand, and know that this was such a huge part of this country's history and will continue to be into the future.
What are some of your fondest memories of serving here? In other words, like if years down the road, one of your kids says, "Hey, Dad, tell me about your time at the tomb," what would be a memory you would pass on to them?
100% it would be working on the centennial. It'd have to be. There's no day quite like that here. I mean, every day is an incredible opportunity and honor to be doing what I'm doing. And even the days that seem more dull are still better than I feel any other day that I could spend in the military, especially when veteran groups come. We have a lot of veteran groups that come from states across the nation, and seeing their reactions. Yeah, it's hard to put into words. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. I had the pleasure of speaking with a former deputy Defense Department official yesterday, and he had described the tomb as being what he called it as unique. What do you think is unique about the Tomb of the Unknown in comparison to all the other monuments throughout the United States?
So this monument, the tomb, a lot of people just think that, yeah, we're guarding the unknowns who are on that plaza, but it's really about the larger picture of what this monument represents, and that being it's representing all of those soldiers who made that supreme sacrifice, but more than that supreme sacrifice of giving their lives, they also gave their identities, their names, their families, and there's thousands of unknown soldiers buried here in Arlington National Cemetery and abroad. And so this is a place where we can honor all of those fallen dead in a central location and pay respect and reverence to all of those individuals. So it's a very, very unique place and very special to us
Well
and to
said.
myself.
I got another one for you, and then I'll let you off the hook. So we're videotaping this right now, obviously. We're going to send you a copy of the video, and we'll give you instructions if you choose to do so. You can submit it to the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. for the Veterans History Project.
Okay.
Theoretically, your video will be there for hundreds of years. If your great-great-great-great-great-grandkids stumbled upon the video, what would you want them to know about your service to your country?
What I would want them to know. Honestly, I feel, for me personally, and most service members, I do this not for myself, especially here down at the tomb. Nothing we do is for our own personal glory or for people to see us. We're doing these things to our uniforms. We're doing these things outside to be the closest that we can for perfection, to pay homage to better men than ourselves, better women than ourselves, who have served, given everything for this country, and deserve our highest praises, our highest effort, and our supreme dedication to honor the legacy that they have left us with, to pay homage to what they've done for us and the society they've allowed to grow into what it is. And that's what we do day in and day out, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, no matter the weather. And we will hopefully continue for as long as this country exists.
Well said. Do you have anything else you wanted to mention before we stop the tape?
No, not off the top of my head.
Well, on behalf of the Americans of Wartime Museum, I thank you for spending time with us today.
I appreciate it.
More importantly, thanks for your service. Pleasure to meet
It's a
you.
pleasure to serve.